We're in the city of gold, Johannesburg. Known for its traffic jams, the business hub of South Africa will be seeing traffic of a different kind this week as we head to Kyalami for round 4 of the Sasol GTC Championship. The original Kyalami Grand Prix circuit was built in 1961 and hosted 20 rounds of the Formula One World Championship. In 2014, Toby Fenter, a man with vision, bought Kyalami under auction. What preceded was an extensive redevelopment plan for the facility, which represents the single largest upgrade in the circuit's 54-year history. The Kyalami Grand Prix circuit has once again taken its place as the premier motoring and motorsport facility in Africa.
We're on quite a few international circuits, and Kyalami is definitely up there.
You know, having raced overseas, Hockenheim and a couple other places, this is at that level, if not better. You know, it's got such a nice flow. The new section is tricky. It's just, you do one lap, you come back and you're like, okay, that was lekker. Let's do another lap. You know what I mean? You just keep on wanting to do more and more and more.
It's absolutely fantastic. I think the last time we raced here was 2013. And, you know, with the revamps and that, the track is absolutely fantastic.
I'm Sasha Martinengo, and with me from GTC, Gary Famato. You've heard from the drivers, this circuit is incredible. Gary, tell us a little bit about the Kyalami upgrades.
Well, I mean, apart from the fantastic pit building and all the other stuff, I mean, the circuit has been entirely resurfaced. I mean, we have a brand new surface here today. It meets all the latest FIA safety gradings. And the big thing for the spectators is we have no more Bowmans. It's all about spectator-friendly. People have got their cars parked here. It's looking fantastic.
If we look at the Sasol GTC Championship at the moment, it looks like it's Michael Stevens' to lose. But the way the points are structured, anything can happen. And we saw in Cape Town, Simon Moss went from 7th to 3rd in the championship. Gary, we've still got quite a way to go. Michael Stevens got to watch his back.
He does. We're only halfway through the championship, effectively. So, you know, there's a lot of points up for grabs. We've got different winners, different people on pole position, taking points for all of that as well. So it's definitely not over at this point in time. As you quite rightly said, we've seen some big swings, and we could see some more today.
In terms of the championship, we asked the drivers how they're feeling about it.
It's been a good championship so far. I mean, we started off a bit slow. We had to find our grips, get the setup right. You know, myself and Vic worked nicely together again. And we've managed to move along, lying second. Michael's quite far ahead, but, you know, it's never over until the fat lady sings.
It's been the perfect start for us, you know. Out of the first 9 races, we've won 8 and, you know, got a healthy lead in the championship. But it's not over till right at the end.
It's maybe 6 or 8 points between the 3 of us, so it's going to be a fight this weekend to come out ahead after the event. So yeah, we're gonna give it our all.
We get a lot of points for results and the DGC. So like Simon went from 6th to 3rd up with a good results in Cape Town. So yeah, anything can change at any stage.
In Cape Town, we saw some brilliant racing, and we also had a new winner in GTC. Gennaro Bonafide was star of the show in Cape Town.
He certainly was, and I mean, it's looking good here today. Gennaro starts on pole. They just really seem to have their act together. The driver's driving very well. The team's got their business right. He's going to be tough to beat today.
Also from Cape Town, VW unfortunately had a really difficult weekend, Gary. But I tell you, they're bouncing back. Matthew Hodges really stringing it out there today. He's going to be one for a win today.
There's no doubt about it. I think, you know, if we look at the first race, we know how competitive he was there. They spent 2 days before this race in Pekisa testing. Second on the grid. You know, VW win is definitely on the cards today.
We might have had Gennaro Bonafide winning 1 in Cape Town, but it was still Michael Steven who won 2.
You know, we've been working hard and pushing hard just to keep going with, you know, the wins that we've had. Obviously, the other guys are working harder to try to close the gap, and, you know, we'll do our fair share.
At Cape Town, we had a couple of gremlins that we had to iron out. We're learning every time we drive the motor car. I'm probably having the longest season of my career at the moment, but the car was very good. We started to come to grips with it in Cape Town, get around my head around the way it behaves and handles.
At Kyalami this weekend, we have a new addition to the Sasol GTC series. Gary, Michael van Rooyen. It's been a labour of love, but he's here.
They're here. The 4th BMW's arrived, and yeah, a couple of teething trouble, which you'd expect with a new car. But I think, you know, Michael, when he was out on circuit, was pretty quick. Actually, quite impressed with how quickly he got to grips with it, and the new Kyalami as well. So, you know, definitely a car to watch out for. And you know, let's hope they have a solid day today and build on from here.
It is something that they're going to have to build on. We caught up with Michael van Rooyen.
It's great to be here. It's been a bit frustrating leading up to this first race, but it's ecstatic to be here. It's really exciting, and I can't wait for the first race. With the little bit of seat time that I've had, I think we might be competitive. That's what I'm hoping for.
We're expecting some great things from Michael van Rooyen. Kyalami has been revamped. Let's take a look at it.
Obviously, this weekend is the first time that all of the GTC drivers and teams are going to have an experience of the brand new Kyalami circuit. 300 meters longer, 4.5 kilometers of brand new asphalt that's been laid down by the Kyalami management as well. We're looking at a great performance from these cars and from these drivers. Remember, they're the best drivers and best car combinations in the country. We are using for the first time the soft tire from V8 Supercars, and we're expecting some brilliant lap times out of these guys. The temperature management is going to be key. So guys, look after all your engines, your intercooler temps, your intake temps, as well as your charge temperatures as well. Very, very important. If you run it too hard and too fast, you might end up blowing the engine. So it's going to be very important that temperature management is key to this race. Very, very important. The curbs at Kyalami present a unique set of challenges that we haven't experienced over the entire year thus far. I think it's going to be quite vital to make sure that the guys don't ride over the curbs too aggressively, because reliability is going to be key. Probably the winner of the race weekend is going to be the guy who brings the car home.
16 turns and 4.5 kilometers anti-clockwise FIA graded circuit takes advantage of the naturally undulating landscape, creating a challenging blend of sweeping, fast sections and tight technical corners, which makes Kyalami legendary.
Hi guys, welcome to the new Kyalami circuit, 4.5 kilometers, absolutely world class. Down the pit straight, you can pick a line so wide track. The kink used to be tight, but now it's so easy flat, just way longer. Carry the speed, keep all the way to the right, brake at 110 meter board, all the way down to second. Some drivers use first. Don't exit too wide, keep it in the middle so you have a good exit for the right, left coming up. Flat, third gear, use a bit of a curve. Pick a line straight, braking down to second. Don't use too much curve, there's a bump there, like you can see at the moment, getting a bit of a moment. All the way down to third, fourth again. Get over to the left, up the approach in Sunset, quite a fast, sweet corner. It's quite late braking deep into the corner, keep it in fourth. Carry the speed to the apex and then pick a line. Once you're at the apex, you can put it flat, use all of the road. Get over to the right hand and brake at the 25 meter, I suppose. Down to second again, another bump in the track. Back up to third, keep it in third all the way to the S's. Left, right hand approaching, so you want to keep it all the way to the left, so you've got a better turn to the right. Nice flowing corner. All the way back up to fourth, all the way up the hill. Quite a steep hill and a blind rise approaching. Pick your marker, I use the Marshall booth. Down back to second, late apex. And then get hard on the gas again, long corner, all the way down the hill, the mine shaft. Third, fourth, fifth, flat. It used to be quite a tight corner, but now it's a little bit easier. Use all the roads from the left to the right, and then pick a braking mark in the middle of the track and brake all the way to the left again for down to second for a tight bowl. Clip a bit of a curve if you need to. Back up to third again to a blind rise kink. You have to pick a brake marker and just flow the car and throw it in there. Use a bit of curve on the exit. Back up to fourth and then down to second or first if some of the drivers fuse. Late apex, get the car straight and get hard on the gas on the exit.
As you can see from on board with Johan Fourie, a very technical track going around here at Kyalami. And when it came to qualifying, Gary, that was close.
It certainly was close. That's what we wanted to see. But the last couple of races, you've got to be honest, it has been tight up at the front there. But for me today, we've got a BMW, we've got a VW Jetta and an Audi on the first three.
Are you surprised that Michael Steven didn't manage to maintain that consistency?
Well, look, I mean, he's had a great year. And I think, he mentioned it himself, perhaps had a couple of issues on his qualifying laps. And, it's so tight now. You need to get it perfect every time.
Well, I tell you, Gennaro Bonafide going to be starting on pole position with Matthew Hodges right next to him.
Well, here we are in race one at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit, 4.5 kilometers of wall-to-wall action. And we've got Gennaro Bonafide on pole position, Gary, with a 1 minute 53.1. Using these new soft tyres from V8 Supercars, it really made these cars go fast.
Yeah, an absolutely great one. High G-forces through some of the corners, Sunset, the second S in particular, but nicely close followed by Matthew Hodges in the first of the VW Jettas. Michael Steven for the first time this year on the second row of the grid in third place.
Well, Matthew Hodges did his fastest lap time on lap 4, Gary. So that probably shows he didn't switch the tyres on that very, very first lap. Only about 0.2 of a second off Gennaro Bonifidi. But then we got a very close grouping of cars between Michael Steven, Henny Groenewald and Johan Fourie, all doing 1 minute 53.7. I mean, that bodes well for a great race.
Yeah, certainly so. I think the gap certainly tightening up there. And as you quite rightly said, it was when you got your tyres switched on was the key thing for putting that ultimate qualifying lap in. Simon Moss not happy with that position. I think after the last couple of races, we've been up there with his teammate and will no doubt be looking to fight his way through to the front.
Yeah, then we've obviously got Graham Nathan in 7th position, and then debutant for this race weekend, the 8th car, the 4th BMW, Michael van Rooyen, the Rustenburg guy, coming back into racing as well in the GTC car. Very excited to, can we say, do his first race.
Yeah, and I think Michael acquitted himself very well in practice. Remember, these guys have been driving these cars the whole year. As we crossed the finish line there, and down long straight now, down to turn 1 at Kyalami, the new Crowthorne corner, but of course turns left instead of the right, as we know from the old days. Gennaro Bonifidi out in front at the moment.
Yeah, we see a very close gaggle of cars. We got Henny Groenewald, Matthew Hodges, Michael Steven holding it back a little bit. He's very, very good to get through the traffic here. Oh, a massive, massive crash there. We see Henny Groenewald making contact with Matthew Hodges into Yikskay's sweep. It really looks like Matthew Hodges crowding him onto the inside of the corner there, Gary.
Yeah, look, these rules in GTC do stipulate that you need to leave room for the car challenging you, and he was right up on the curve there. An unfortunate one, because this has given Gennaro Bonifidi the gap he needs to get away from the field. And of course, we saw how close it was in qualifying, and we were hoping we were going to get some of that in the race.
Yeah, I think it's shown over the entire year of GTC racing that first lap is vitally important. Henny Groenewald slowing out of Sunset and in Clubhouse Bend, allowing Michael Steven to go through. Certainly looks like he's got some temperature problems and a little bit of smoke starting to come out of that BMW as well. Not quite where Henny Groenewald wants to be at this stage of proceedings.
No, sure. And I think, looking for a way past there, and obviously got caught up with Matthew Hodges, but Michael Steven's going to want to get a move on. Gennaro Bonifidi, as we said, that opening lap has been kind to him. Michael is not going to want to let him get away too far if he's got any hope of challenging Gennaro.
Yeah, Gennaro coming through the crocodiles, just touching the curb slightly. Bit of smoke billowing out of the left-hand wheel arch of Henny Groenewald. He's not quite sure what is going on. I think probably safe to say that it is terminal damage and he has to go to the pits. Simon Moss, the Volkswagen Jet of Graham Nathan coming through, and Matthew Hodges as well. So a very disappointing start to the race for Henny Groenewald, but hopefully the team can get it fixed for race 2.
Yeah, that's certainly hope so. Look, Kyalami has certainly a track that has separated the men from the boys in terms of lap times, but it also puts a lot of strain onto the cars as we now go into Crowthorne with Gennaro Bonifidi, and looking very, very smooth. We can see, he's been quick all weekend. He's really been the man to beat, and that car looking very, very hooked up.
Well, Michael van Rooyen on screen now really came into the pits on the warm-up lap. Some reliability issues in the car, but it's great to see that the car is out on circuit. With this type of racing, Gary, you want to try and get as many laps as possible, as many laps under your belt. Remember, no ABS braking, so the guys have to learn how to look after the tyres from lap 1 all the way to lap 9.
Yeah, certainly so. Been a tough one, and we're looking at Simon Moss opening his door up the main straight, which is not something we normally see. And there we see a whole lot of smoke in the car. I can assume that it's either fire extinguisher. I've had this happen to me before, and it's not the nicest thing to breathe. And it's obviously why Simon has opened that door, just to get some air into the cockpit.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do that, so obviously handling it quite well to get the fire extinguisher fumes outside there. Gennaro Bonifidi now going up through the S's into Leeuwkop corner. Very smooth, very good driving. As you said, Gary, the man to beat this weekend has been really particularly well. Great qualifying lap from him. And I think the key to this race, nobody's really got the experience on these soft Dunlop tyres, is how they're going to make it last over the entire race. Remember, it's 36 kilometers of racing, 9 laps of racing around the Kyalami circuit. And none of the guys have got the experience on these tyres.
No, it's not. And also, what a hot day. I mean, absolutely scintillating out there. Now, that's obviously going to play a part in the time management as well. But, obviously, Gennaro just making his way past Michael van Rooyen is making it very easy and being polite and letting the leaders go through. But I tell you, time management is certainly going to be key, as we said, in the heat. And the latter part of the race is where it's all going to tell.
Yeah, I think it's quite important. And we see Michael Steven, obviously Gennaro got that gap at the start, and he's probably trying to manage it as best as he possibly can. Try not to put wheels off the circuit. Try not to go onto the curbs. Gary, we've got to talk about the curbs. It's been quite a revelation coming to the circuit. The guys love driving here, but these the curbs around here are vicious.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's almost got these half-round sort of sausage curbs at the on the exit of the curbs, and they look a lot smoother than they actually are. When you drive around here and actually walk around and have a look at them, they are pretty aggressive. And the cars being so low to the ground and putting the kind of G's that they are as well. The curbs possibly something that drivers need to stay away from. at this stage.
Well, Simon Moss in third position, being followed by Graham Nathan in close proximity. Simon had a very tough build-up to the race. In practice one, he had a bit of a reliability issue. The car did have some terminal issues that they tried to fix over the course of the entire day yesterday on the Saturday. But overall, you've got to say the team's done a great job to get the car back on circuit.
Yeah, certainly so. The team working very, very hard now. But I'm just looking at the gap at the front of the field now between Gennaro and Michael. It does look like it is closing up slightly, and maybe the tyre wear coming into play now. We're just looking at an onboard from Michael Stevens' car. We can actually see Gennaro in shot now, and Michael's just going to want to keep on chasing that BMW and getting it bigger and bigger in his view.
Well, we've seen Michael Stevens is a past master at this, as managing his tyres, managing his pace through the race weekend, and managing his championship, in fact. 7 race wins so far this year, the form man of the category, but not the form man this weekend. Gennaro, the man he is chasing and trying to really close that gap down. And I think you're right, Gary. I really think that Michael Stevens is slowly inching his way closer to Gennaro. So it's really important for Gennaro to make sure he hits all those apexes, hits those brake markers, and not to lock any of the brakes. You don't want a flat spotted tyre now.
Yeah, certainly not. And I think Michael's now got to start looking at Gennaro, seeing where his weak points are, if there are in fact any, and just to understand in which part of the circuit he can make the most difference, and if at all possible, make a move if he gets close enough later on.
Well, Gennaro braking for Crowthorne corner. You see the car pitching down there. Very good setup on the car, getting it into the corner. He was able to roll in with very good entry speed all weekend long. So really the case now is maybe not to drive at that full 100% capacity, maybe a 99 or a 98% capacity. Just make sure you sort of manage the car towards the end of the race. Try not to get it too hot. I think quite important thermal management, as we've been speaking about it the entire race weekend. It was unbelievably hot, and these guys had to do a fantastic job managing it from an engineering perspective in the pits and the teams, as well as from driving.
Yeah, I managed to have a look at some of Gennaro's data in free practice. I tell you what, going through Sunset and the Yeses was part of the track that he was very, very quick at. And of course, now going down the hill now, towards the mine shaft. This seems to be the section where Michael Stevens is able to make up quite a bit of ground. So Michael's really going to have to push here, keep it smooth, not make any mistakes on the section of the circuit where I think he has the upper hand.
Well, we see Gennaro Bonafide coming through the mine shaft, but I tell you what, we've watched the data logging from Michael Stevens. He was one of the only guys to use first gear in the Crocodiles where we are now. He's got a really shallow line. He doesn't load the car up too much, and he just shoots out of that corner all the way to Cheetah as we see them go through a really strong part of the circuit for Michael Stevens.
And back down through the gears for Michael Stevens, right along board. First gear as he comes onto the main straight and trying to get now into the toe of Gennaro Bonafide. I think he's going to need another couple of laps to be able to do that, but this is a long straight, and you can see there's a massive opportunity if you can get into that slipstream.
Well, the guys are doing fifth gear down the circuit, 220 kilometers an hour. It's amazing to think that we come to Kyalami. We've been to the Cape Town race circuit, Kyalami. Normally there you have very, very high top speeds, but this extra 300 meters of racetrack, Gary, we're seeing the highest top speeds of the year at Kyalami.
Yeah, and also taking into consideration that we are in Johannesburg and 2,000 odd square meters above sea level, certainly contributing to the high speeds that we are seeing here. But this has been a fantastic part of the circuit. Sunset, cars really quickly, a lot of grip here. They're working all the aerodynamics, the soft tires working at the maximum. Cars actually pulling almost over 2 Gs here.
Well, what we are looking at, we see Michael Stevens closing that gap up to Gennaro a little bit every single lap. We're looking at the lap times. He's nearly half a second a lap faster than Gennaro Bonafide, and putting in purple lap times lap after lap after lap. So the soft tires are holding on. He's getting faster and faster. Gennaro better watch out.
Well, I can tell you what, just looking at the steering input by Michael Stevens, he is driving the hell out of that car. And the steering is all over the place. He's pushing. I think he's on the absolute maximum. He can smell a chance now, and he's going to make the most of it.
Well, it's wonderful to watch a racing driver at the top of his trade, Gary. I mean, if you look at the G-force trace of that car, he's driving it literally through every single corner. It's not easy work out there. If anyone thought driving a GTC car was easy and anyone can do it, you have to understand these are the best drivers. Probably the most collection of championship winners are driving in GTC this year over here. So it shows you it's the best drivers in the country.
Well, I have absolutely no doubt about that in my mind. And as we see Gennaro coming out of the kink there, sliding it there, you can see the rear end of the car just starting to move around. And this is obviously why Michael is starting to close that gap. He's looking again, Gennaro, making it straight as possible, getting onto that straight, trying to carry as much speed. But now the gap is really closing now.
Well, you could say that Michael Stevens is starting to get the benefit of the slipstream. You know, these cars are have a very big wing. they are draggy, so they will punch a big hole in the air. So we've got to look at Michael Stephen closing that gap. But obviously the other thing as well, he does not want to get too close and start to overheat his car. We do have temperature issues. These guys are going to be as close as possible, but also manage temperatures.
Well, I think, yes, that is a big issue here. We spoke about the heat early on, and as we know, beyond the car, the airflow is going to be reduced. But, thankfully it is Kyalami. You have longer straights to try and cope with that. But again, just looking at Gennaro, going to he was really impressive in Sunset. You can't say it enough there. Michael Stephen now just edging up onto him. But at this part of the track, he's probably not going to close up a lot. But it's the latter part of the circuit where he's going to make that big difference.
All the way from Leeuwkop corner down to the Crocodiles, through Cheetah and into Ingwe corner. That is where Michael Stephen is a class apart. He uses first gear more often than most and really looks to get that traction out of the corners. And the car is hooked up. There is absolutely no two ways about it. That car is really hauling in Gennaro, and Gennaro's going to make sure, try not to slide that car, try not to make those temperatures of the tires spiral out of control. You normally want about 100 degrees centigrade throughout the surface of the tire, but as soon as that starts to go out of control, it basically does not give you any grip, and you are sliding around. The VW Jetters, Graham Nathan in front of Matthew Hodges. It is such a shame. Matthew Hodges promised so much with the front row start. If it wasn't for that first corner incident, Gary, we probably would have had a race to note.
Yeah, certainly so. And I was looking forward to that one. I think I'll very feel for Matthew. This is a good opportunity for him. But just looking at Gennaro, it's the first time this weekend we've seen him get ragged on the exit of the tight right-hander and now into the pit corner. He now needs to keep his wits about himself. He cannot afford to make any more mistakes.
Yeah, he's being hunted down by one of the best in the business, Michael Stephen. And it was a clear instruction from the team, from Gennaro's team, to stay away from the curbs, make sure that he looks after the car to bring it home and get that first lap gap. He did get the first lap gap, but not quite going according to script here. You can see Michael Stephen closing it down little by little. And we know that in this part of the circuit, he's not as strong as Gennaro. However, that last bit is where Michael's going to come on strong. So probably look for an outbraking maneuver onto the pit straight.
Yeah, and that's where it's all going to happen. It's a great passing opportunity. You can see Michael now tucking in there. He's going to get run to toe now. He's not going to worry about temperatures at this part of the race. He's going to do everything he can to try and catch Gennaro through Sunset here. High-speed corner. You're going to go into the famous clubhouse corner and then up the hill, and that's where Michael's going to need to start setting up his passing maneuver.
Well, amazingly, in qualifying, the guys were pulling nearly 1.9 lateral peak G-force in Sunset, but coming into the S's, Gary, 2.1 G in turn 1 of the S's, and in turn 2, sometimes 2.3 G's peak forces. This is unbelievable cornering power from these cars.
Yeah, look, I mean, these are quick racing cars, 1,400 kilos as well, so no mean feat in getting that car to go through the corners like they are. Now, we can see now that BMW now looming large in Michael's windscreen. He's going to need to get out of here. You can see Gennaro again just stepping it out there on the power, slight oversteer. Michael Stephen's car not doing that. It's flat out now down the mine shaft with the extension that's been made there. Gives the drivers the opportunity to run it wide now on the exit. So pretty, I wouldn't say easy flats if you look at that steering wheel, but here we go. This is Michael's opportunity.
Well, we see Gennaro in the windscreen there of Michael Stephen. He has to try and keep straight lines, and Michael came out of the corner there very, very good, very strong into Cheetah, and Gennaro's got to just keep the car straight, make sure he doesn't go off the corner, because once you slide off once, I think that is possibly what it is, and Michael is right up against the bumper of Gennaro.
Well, that's it now. I think Gennaro getting onto that main straight now. He's done enough. He's managed to keep it tight, to keep it clean, and he gets across the line for his second win in GTC.
The man of the moment, he's done particularly well. So Gennaro winning the race, Michael Stephen second, Simon Moss third, Graham Nathan fourth. So a great race for those guys.
Drama-filled first race here at Kyalami Sasol GTC Championship. Gennaro Bonafide from pole position. Gary, it was made to look a little bit easy.
It probably was. The first couple of corners certainly helped him get away. But at the latter part of the race, Michael Stephen caught up quite quickly. So you've got to believe that whatever Michael Stephen's time management was certainly the better one to have over the race distance. So had the first couple of corners not happened the way they did, I certainly believe that Michael would have been in a position to put a lot more pressure on Gennaro.
Sets us up for a great second race. But let's find out from our top three finishers.
Yeah, look, a tough race actually. It looked very easy. It looked like it was something that I maintained and managed right till the end in perfect timing. But look, it was hard out there. The temperatures are flipping high, and with these new soft compound tires, it was very difficult for us to judge setup. And we had a good one lap pace, as we saw in qualifying. But during the race, it was difficult out there. Michael was catching me, but look, very stoked for the Sasol GTC team. Another win for BMW as well, so I'm very, very happy.
I had a good start off the line behind Gennaro into turn 1. But obviously with him in front of me, I couldn't brake too late, and Matthew and Henny went around my outside. They then tangled, and I had to take some evasive action, and that just allowed Gennaro to get a gap. We've seen the weekend that he's been quick in the first couple of laps, and we're stronger, towards the end of the race, and closed the gap down, but just wasn't enough lap.
On the second, I think it was the second or third lap, as I was just getting used to everything, I thought my motor blew. There was just so much smoke inside, and then I realized it's the fire extinguisher that went off. So I had a fire extinguisher. It was the whole lap. But all in all, good race, and I'm pretty chuffed.
A dramatic incident in race 1 between Matthew Hodges and Henny Groenewald. Gary, as a racing driver, it's amazing. You see something on TV, you go, gee whiz, I can't believe that guy actually did that. But, I mean, you've now had to go through everything. What are the rules, first of all, say in GTC?
Look, I mean, firstly, the rules require you to leave a bit of space from anybody attacking you to be able to get through the corner together. And I think we saw a lot of that in Cape Town and other races this year. And I think the big thing is here is that there was no room created for both cars to get through the corner. Whether Henny should have backed out of it is also quite debatable. So it's one of the situations where you've got to say, well, it's a 50-50 deal. I think both contributed to the problem. So what do you do at the end of the day?
We caught up with Matthew Hodges and, of course, GTC clerk of the course, Ian Schechter.
From the first instance, when we saw it on the normal TV, it looked like it was Henny's problem completely. But when we saw all the in-car cameras, it wasn't that obvious. We felt in the end that Matthew should have left more room, because our rules are that you've got to have a car's width between you and the circuit edge, and Matthew took an apex there with Henny slightly inside him, not totally, but enough to be there, and you can't expect Henny just to disappear.
I believe the line was mine. It wasn't really a corner, but I just feel Henny should have backed out of that one, and everything would have been fine.
In GTC production class, it is Daniel Rowe that leads the field, but it's a lot closer here at Kyalami.
It definitely is. It's great to see. So we've got Mandla, who's right up there with Daniel now, and I think Daniel breathing a sigh of relief, because they've also got Sean Duminy, who's actually spent the last month rebuilding that entire Focus ST. So that car looks to be right on the pace today. I'm looking forward to seeing that battle resume between Sean and those two Golfs ahead of him.
The one omission we have is Charles Smallberger, who unfortunately on the Saturday during one of the free practice sessions lost it and unfortunately damaged the car. Always painful to see.
It is, and very unfortunate. I mean, Charles, and also had done a lot of work, was looking good for this race, feeling very confident. Lost it down the mine shaft. It was probably the worst corner you want to lose it at. Came back on the inside and really just crunched the thing up.
We caught up with a very disappointed Charles Smallberger.
I was coming into the mine shot, which is like the fastest corner here at Kyalami, and went in there. It was just a little bit too hot, and the backside started coming out, and I had like a massive drift, so I tried to catch it, correct it down the bottom there, but unfortunately my car swung the other way when I got it straight, and I hit the wall on the inside of the track with like the rear of the car. As you can see, it's pretty bad, but yeah, now we must try and recover from here. So we haven't had a lot of time to assess the damage, but from what we can see here, it's bad. We're out for the rest of the weekend, and we just gutted it because we are looking forward to racing here at Kyalami.
Very unfortunate for Charles Smallberger, Gary, but more than likely we're going to see him at Swartkorps.
Look, I think they'll be back at Swartkorps. Just an unfortunate thing there. Back at Kyalami for the first time, obviously caught him out.
It was very tight in qualifying. Let's find out what happened at the race at Kyalami.
And here we are in GTC production, race 1, pole man Daniel Rowe leading this gaggle of cars into Crowthorne Corner. Daniel's got a very good lead, a brilliant start from young Daniel Rowe, the championship leader, into Crowthorne Corner, rear end stepping out a bit, just getting some heat into those tires. Let's just catch up with Daniel Rowe.
Yeah, I think the circuit's really nice. It's fast and flowing like it used to be. I think the new sections certainly have their challenging parts to it, but I'm enjoying it. I'm sure all the other drivers are enjoying it, and we're having fun, and our VW team are doing really great this weekend.
Yeah, and back with the racing now. We're looking at Sean Duminy, Mark Dutoy in this GTC production battle, but Daniel Rowe, I think, certainly got things comfortably in control here with his teammate behind him. and Sean Duminy, that brand new built Ford Focus ST.
Yeah, Gary, I think Sean was busy for nearly 2 weeks at his dealership down in Durban trying to get as much performance out of these cars. But he's got Mark du Toit in the BMW Z4 giving him some real beans getting into Leeuwkop corner. But I think really you want Daniel Rowe, if you're really looking at the championship, you would assume that it's all about trying to consolidate that position and try and get those 2 race wins as easily and with as minimal fuss as possible.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that if Daniel in fact brings home 2 victories or a victory today, it's going to put that championship right out of reach, and Sean certainly doesn't want to be where he is right now, and certainly with Mandela in front of him, who's going to take more points and just separate that gap. So a lot of work to do if Sean is to challenge for this championship.
Well, the Nathan Motorsport Volkswagen Golf GTI 7s prepared very well indeed, and you've got both of them running line astern across the start-finish line, and you've got Daniel Rowe leading from Mandela Mtekane, Sean Duminy and Mark du Toit running a very close 4th position. But Daniel's really looks to be looking to look after that lead and extending the lead at will, it looks like it.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to be looking for a new challenge. I mean, obviously, there's an introduction to new cars into the category next year. We believe there's going to be another 2 teams making an appearance, and I think it's certainly going to get pretty tight at the front. A lot of youngsters coming into the class, which is obviously what it's for. But I'm sure Daniel, knowing just how he drives, he's going to be looking forward to some competition and some door-to-door racing.
Yeah, we had the cars on the dyno prior to this race meeting, and the Golf 7 GDI, the Golf 6 GDI of Charles Smallberger, unfortunately missing in action after that tremendous accident in the mineshaft earlier in the weekend. A very closely matched between the 2 cars, and we know that Sean's team has put an enormous effort to try and get the car up to pace as well. But Daniel Rowe just extending that lead, getting through the S's. The car's really well balanced. In a front-wheel drive car, you really want that front end to turn, the rear end to turn you around and point you to the exit, and it looks to be doing that perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about that. I mean, the rest of the corner is dictated by how you get into the corner. So as you quite rightly said, got to get it into the corner. But you can see the Golf's looking very smooth. Both of them out in the front there. Not much going on. I was watching Daniel in practice. He did have a big moment here in the mineshaft in the free practice on Friday. But, has obviously got it all gathered up and just, doing everything to the absolute maximum and looking very smooth.
These are the guys, and Daniel Rowe takes an emphatic race win for race 1.
Gary, let's look at the GTC production category. It's very much a feeder series to come into GTC Championship. Great tussle between the guys, expecting some really good racing.
Yeah, we always are. Production car racing has always been about door-to-door racing, and I'm expecting nothing less of it. I think, unfortunately, today we've had a couple of cars also hit some mechanical issues, and I think it's reduced the race. But, nonetheless, I think, the boys out there now trying to solidify their championship points, certainly in Daniel's case, and put it together. So trying to stay out of trouble, which is always hard in that class.
Well, Daniel Rowe's on pole position. Let's see if anybody can get close to him and maybe even beat him.
Well, that is the question. Can anyone challenge Daniel Rowe? But Sean Duminy has brought his car back to the grid. Obviously, he made some changes between races. We believe that there was a spark plug issue that the team has rectified. Sean quite passionately was fighting quite hard to make sure that the car is on the grid.
So sure, we had a bit of bad luck, so I think we might still be lying a second, but a little bit far off the pace. Had issues at Cape Town. Last race of PE with some issues. We seem to have found the problem. We took the car to the dealership. We spent 3 weeks on it. Sorted the shocks out today with the old shocks and from the old Focus, and the car seems to be on pace. So all things being equal, should be a good race, and I'm gonna fight for a win, definitely.
Well, Sean Duminy is definitely fighting for a race win, getting into the S's as well, looking at the balance of this car. It certainly looks particularly strong, much stronger than race 1. And we know that with the development work that the team has done and unlocked some engine performance out of that Ford Focus ST, you've got to say that if it's all hooked up and they bring everything to the track, for sure Sean Duminy is going to run Daniel Rowe close.
Yeah, look, that Ford certainly sounds nice. I know it revs quite nicely as well, and definitely a strong engine and a car that's very competitive. So I know Sean very well, fierce competitor, and I can tell you right now that being in second place where he is right now is not making him happy. So he's trying everything to get that car to where he wants it to be, which is in the front.
Well, Gary, I think you are 100% correct. A fierce competitor in Sean Duminy, but Daniel Rowe is cornering like the car is on rails, making sure that he can convert his pole position into a another race win. And I think if he does win this race, he probably converts that championship points into probably sewing up the championship and the first-time GTC Production Championship winner.
Yeah, an important championship as well for Daniel. Part of that VW development program. We're not too sure what next year holds for him, but whether he's going to come back and defend his championship or not. But I think an important one, and good to see him perform the way he has this year.
Yeah, you've got to give Daniel Rowe as much credit as possible. He's fighting that car, and he's able to, oh my word, Mandla Mdekane tossing the car off in Crowthorne corner. He was running a very good and having a brilliant battle with Mark du Toit, but just lost it there, Gary.
Yeah, that's certainly got to get the adrenaline going. That's the end of that new straight into Crowthorne. Quickest part on the circuit, not really where you want to go off and or have any issues or brake issues with the car. We caught up with Daniel Rowe earlier today.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, we've had 6 out of 8 wins. I mean, you can't ask for more. And then a second and a third. So championship's looking great. I think this weekend's all about getting points.
Well, I think Daniel's 100% correct. The championship is looking great indeed, and it's all about securing those points. Very important to make sure that you get those points when you have the opportunity to do it. And Daniel is really looking at driving this car perfectly, Gary, and probably graduating to higher honours later in his career.
Yeah, certainly so. I think we'll see DC Daniel Rowe winning more championships in his career. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's been a pretty easy win for him, and just a beautiful performance from the entire VW team in the GTC production class today. And there we see Daniel Rowe taking the line first place, and in all likelihood the championship as well.
Yeah, no, it was good event. We've got all 3 in Cape Town and now both today on the new Kyalami circuit, which is even a bonus. So I'm really glad about that, and it's good for the championship.
Mandla, you looked very comfortably in second position, and then all of a sudden something went wrong, but it seems as though it was car related.
Yeah, seemed to just lose power out of the blue, and then it seems like one of the brake pipes burst going into turn 1. The pedal just went to the floor. Luckily managed to spin it around and I guess limped the car home.
Exciting racing in GTC production. But let's turn our attention to the GTC Championship. And coming up after the break, the final race from Kyalami. Race 2 in the Sasol GTC Championship is about to begin, and the tension is incredible, Gary. Matthew Hodges, after his incident in race 1, Johan Fourie not even getting off the line. These guys are wanting to really do something special.
I mean, well, 100%. These guys both have very, very quick cars. And I mean, it's an opportunity missed in the first heat. I think now, race 2, they're going to want to make up for it.
When you look at the other guys, the heat is going to play a factor over there. Guys sometimes overdriving the cars. They've got those sticky tires. Got to expect the unexpected.
Well, they've got one set of tyres, so on the tyre scenario they may start going off towards the end of the race. They are the softer tyre we're using this weekend. From a heat point of view, yes, it is a punishing circuit, it's a hot day, it is going to come into play.
And finally, Gennaro Bonafide really driving within himself. He is the pole man, he can lead it away. Do you think anyone can get a jump on him?
Well, look, you can never discount Michael Steven. I mean, he had a terrible opening lap at first. He then came right up to Gennaro at the last couple of laps. Gennaro, as you said, driving well. He's got to just get away from the grid cleanly, get into the first corner first, and just keep it on the island. Don't do anything crazy.
I tell you, it's really, really exciting. Let's cross over and catch the action of race 2 right here at Kyalami.
Well, here we go with race 2 in the Sasol GTC Championship, and these are the big boys. And here we go, Gennaro Bonafide in a pole position. He had a brilliant second lap. The second fastest time, remember, counts for the grid in race 2, and Gennaro did a brilliant job. Matthew Hodges as well, also gridded the car on the front row. A really big needed result for the Volkswagen racing team.
Yeah, and I think Matthew's certainly going to want to make up for the day's earlier result when him and Henny Groenewald tangled. I think the car looking quick. He's going to want to take the fight now to Gennaro Bonafide.
Yeah, Henny Groenewald not taking up their grid position. Remember, he had a DNF in race 1, and the team was not able to turn the car around with the blown engine. So obviously that grid slot will remain empty. Michael Steven in 4th position, and he looks to consolidate his championship race-winning position. Johan Fourie in 5th position. Didn't have a good race in race 1. Actually, didn't even race. He pulled into the pits straight on the warm-up lap, Gary. So he's going to look for a good result today.
Yeah, he certainly is. Definitely one of the quickest guys out there. He's going to want to make his way through this field as fast as he can. Try and get up if he can to the front running cars and stay there and challenge for victory.
And obviously Graham Nathan and Michael van Rooyen bringing up the rear of the grid, at least an 8-car grid for the Sasol GTC Championship Race 2 at Kyalami. Well, here we got the start of race 2. Gennaro Bonafide leading across the line, but Matthew Hodges running him very, very close indeed. And Johan Fourie taking advantage of the spare grid slot that Henny Groenewald has abandoned, really running very close. So he's got the inside line for Crowthorne Corner, trying to run it up at the inside of Michael Stephen, making sure, and he goes from 5th to 3rd position. Brilliant move from Johan Fourie and the EPS Racing BMW.
Yeah, certainly so, slotted in there in front of Michael Stephen and now challenging Matthew Hodges, looking for an opportunity to make his way past there. He's going to put Matthew under big pressure this opening lap. In terms of racing and getting stuck in, one of the best out there. He's certainly not going to want to waste this first lap while everybody settles in.
Well, very important to notice that Johan Fourie's race car and tyres has only done 3 laps in the qualifying session itself. So he's got brand new tyres, where all the other guys have got tyres that have done pretty much an entire race as well. Gennaro running a bit wide, and the guys are really running him very close out of Clubhouse Corner into the S's. Gennaro's got to keep it as neat and tidy as possible, Gary. He does not want to make a mistake. And Johan Fourie running up the outside of Matthew Hodges in the S's. Not a place that you normally associate with passing. Watch for Johan Fourie braking for Leo Kopp Corner, Gary.
Yeah, well, he certainly is right tucked up underneath Matthew there. He's going to go to the inside, going up the hill there and try and make that position pass. And I tell you, if Michael Stevens up there, he can get past too. He's got his nose in there. Try to follow her, and they've touched around the corner. That's obviously going to affect his drive out of there, and possibly not be able to get past going down into the mine shaft now.
Well, there's that Volkswagen power. Matthew Hodges really gunning it down the mine shaft and coming into the Crocodiles. Really massive line astern racing from Johan Fourie. A little bit of a slide there from Johan, possibly having a few issues with the car and the balance not quite to his liking. But he's a fighter, and he's going to make sure that that car is going to be in tip-top condition. And he's a ferocious competitor. He wants to win this race.
Yeah, I think he wants to win every race. I think that's the way you can see the way Johan is driving, and that's his style. He just wants to get out there, but dragging the car up to the 2nd position. But Gennaro just got that edge this weekend. You've got to say there, now at the end of the first lap, has pulled a comfortable gap. It's going to allow him to brake where he wants to, take the right line, going to. But the big thing that I'm noticing here is some smoke coming from Gennaro's car. That's not going to make him comfortable.
Yeah, don't say that, Gary, but I think overall Gennaro's heart probably gone into his mouth, probably remembering what had happened to Henny Groenewald in race 1, and running a bit wide at Crowthorne Corner. Graham Nathan not quite having the best possible race weekend as well. Still struggling with the balance of the car. We noticed some handling maladies that Graham's not been able to come on top of, but great racing again. Johan Fourie is now pulling a bit of a gap on Matthew Hodges and starting to fetch Gennaro Bonafide. We're in store for a great race here.
Yeah, I think those newer tyres that Johan's got in that car, I think at this point in the race, they're definitely making a difference. They are still fresh, and he's got to use them to their absolute maximum to get up behind Gennaro Bonafide as the tyres wear and the race settles in.
Well, we've got the top 4. You saw Michael Stephen coming out of Clubhouse Corner, running Matthew Hodges very, very close indeed. So probably watch for a passing maneuver from Michael Stephen as well. But you can see the smoke getting a bit more with every passing corner, every passing straight. So I'm sure Gennaro is just waiting. He's probably thinking there's a time bomb waiting to go off in his car there. But generally, very neat driving there, and great drive out of Leeuwkop there from Michael Stephen. We mentioned it in race 1. He uses first gear in all these corners. Quite a few of the guys do not do that as well. But into the Crocodiles again, Gennaro just kissing the curbs. Great positioning of his car.
Yeah, just doing it perfectly. But the other thing that Gennaro's got to worry about is the stewards having a look at that oil leak, saying, is that going to be detrimental to everybody else? They may throw out the black flag. Let's hope it certainly isn't the case, and we carry on with this great race.
Yeah, we see Simon Moss and Graham Nathan as well coming up, bringing up the rear of the field there with Michael van Rooyen in 8th place. But a great gaggle of cars coming down the pit straight, and I tend to think that you're 100% correct there, Gary. Are the stewards going to put a flag out for Gennaro, saying that maybe there's some issues with your car? There's a lock-up there from Gennaro as he went into Crowthorne, and we see Johan Fourie as well lying in saying, he's pulled off the circuit, Gary. I think a bit of a water pump failure for that car, so rather than jeopardize the engine, he just wants to make sure he's got the car looked after for the next race meeting.
Yeah, look, unfortunate for Johan Fourie. I thought perhaps he'd missed his braking marker and had run wide there, but unfortunately it looks like it is another technical problem, so not a good day for the team and driver. And as we see him parked on the side of the road now, he is highly frustrated with the situation. Not a happy man.
Yeah, not a happy man, but he was looking very, very strong. But now it's up to Matthew Hodges and Michael Stephen to take the fight to Gennaro. Gennaro's just got that little cushion, and he's able to drive the car where he wants to drive it. And I think it's really now coming to the point is Michael Stephen going to take the chance to try and pass Matthew under braking? Obviously, you've got to assume that Michael is looking to the championship here.
Yeah, you've got to think so. But, I mean, with a comfortable lead like he's got there, he can probably afford to take a chance. And, you know, remember the first race out of Swartkorps, it was Matthew Hodges. It was right up behind him, giving him a go. And, you know, you can see the two of them running around together. Unfortunately for the both of them, Gennaro's just got it really hooked up this weekend and making it difficult for everybody. But, and I think Matthew, being in the position he is right now, is something that he needs. He needs to show that he can race at Olympic. We see he's certainly got the speed, but he wants to bring this car home on the podium.
Yeah, there's Matthew coming through the corner there, and just showing us from the in-car footage that you use up every single inch of the road. It doesn't matter that Kyalami is wider than any other circuit in the country. The guys still use as much road as the circuit builders give them.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, you're trying to make every corner as straight as you possibly can. As we see Michael Stephen just giving Matthew something to think about, showing him, listen, I'm here. The move is on, certainly. You know, keep looking in the mirrors, because that's probably when Matthew would make a mistake, and it's going to make it easy for Michael to get past.
Well, if my eyes deceive me, but it certainly looked like Simon Moss was man on a mission there, trying to catch this gaggle of cars in front of him. Obviously, Matthew Hodges got a bit of a gap now down the straight into Crowthorne Corner over Michael Stephen, but I'm sure Michael is biding his time, looking for that outbraking opportunity to actually make the braking pass maneuver.
Yeah, just had a look at Matthew Hodges from the onboard there. Gennaro Bonifatti definitely getting away, but as you quite rightly said, Simon Moss now closing the gap onto the two in front of him, which is great. We've seen Simon also had some impressive speed this year, and it just unfortunately started a little further back than he would have liked for this heat, and has had to now really punish the car to catch up in his opening laps.
We know that Gennaro Bonifatti's team had made some technical changes after race one. They took a gamble in race one to try and get that gap in the first lap, but towards the end of the race, the car didn't have the handling characteristics that they wanted. So looks a bit more to his liking. He's able to position the car wherever he wants to, and not too much slide in the car. I mean, these cars are pulling upwards way over 2 G's peak lateral loading, Gary. I mean, that's quite phenomenal for a car weighing 1,400 kilograms.
Yeah, you know, I think it is pretty phenomenal. You know, when we first saw those figures early on in the weekend, it was pretty amazing stuff. Being the first time at Kyalami with this car, I think it just shows, you know, cornering speeds now are just getting higher and higher as the drivers are getting used to it. We've got the softer tyre this weekend, which we spoke about as well. And I think just the teams, in terms of general setup, just starting to find the groove now and give these cars what they need to go fast.
Oh, my witness. So we look at Matthew Hodges putting it on the turn into the Crocodiles. Didn't quite look like he had it, like there was a big issue there, but all of a sudden, it just seemed like the car just started to slide wide and he lost the front end and then spun it out.
Yeah, just unfortunate for Matthew, and not the kind of thing we wanted to see. I really wanted this car to come home on the podium. I think it certainly was quick enough to do so, and I think nobody's going to be more angry with himself than Matthew was right now, just to give away a very, very strong position like this.
Yeah, it seemed like such a nondescript spin, but it has such huge consequences for the entire race meeting. He was lying in a good second position there. Everything looked to be under control and didn't quite work out, and Matthew did get the car started, but it doesn't look to be, it doesn't sound particularly clean, Gary, so I'm not sure if he's going to bring it into the pits to see if the technical team can try and do something. But as we watch Gennaro Bonifatti on his merry way, and we're looking at obviously Gennaro heading up to Sunset Corner, but a car going off there at a barbecue, and we see that you know, Simon Moss putting all 4 wheels off the circuit, really trying very, very, very hard. The drivers were told not to put wheels onto the curbs, but I mean, Simon Moss, he's a racing driver of note.
Yeah, he wanted to close that gap, but unfortunately that's not how you are going to close a gap. It's going to cost him time there, but you listen, you can't say anything bad about anyone that's trying as much as they are. And let me tell you what, these cars are not easy to drive. I did have the fortune to drive one of these cars the other day. They're not easy to get the maximum out of, and they're really on the edge, you know, real racing cars.
Well, in-car footage there from Gennaro Bonifatti showing the smoke that's building up there, so he's got to just nurse the car home, very important, and it's obviously to make sure that he gets to the end of the race. We're watching, obviously, Matthew Hodges has come out of the pits, and he's just trying to secure as many championship points as possible. It normally is on these types of race weekends, Gary, when the car's not working particularly well. Just try and get as many points as possible, try live to fight another day.
Well, I think that's important. You know, any championship is won by scoring points, you know, and you're not going to have the fastest car every day. But as you quite rightly said, you know, score points. Oh, massive one here for Simon Moss. That is down the mine shaft. It is a huge crash.
Yeah, 190 odd k's an hour as you turn into the mine shaft, and it certainly was an unbelievably quick spin for Simon. He had no chance to react there as well, to try and catch it at all. Must be a technical issue or a technical problem. Simon's looking towards the rear end of the car, the right rear of the wheel. Obviously very, very frustrated watching the slow-mo replay here. And you can see there's a massive failure around the rear end of the car, the rear suspension on the right-hand side. Really scary, scary stuff. And it's not something we want to see happen to our racing drivers. And it's great to see that he's got out of the car and looks altogether fine.
Yeah, he certainly looks okay, but yeah, just catastrophic suspension failure, and yeah, just very, very unfortunate. We hate to see cars in the wall like that. As we look at Matthew Hodges now, also slowing down and going very slowly. That's definitely the end of his day.
Yeah, it certainly is the end of the day, and it's a race of attrition here at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. You've just got to finish these races. This sort of circuit that no one has had experience racing on, it really starts to show you when these type of drivers are using every inch of the road and even the curbs as well. It really starts to tax that suspension, and sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. Don't go off the circuit. Just keep it on the black stuff. You are more than likely going to score those championship points.
Yeah, absolutely. So just keep the car on the island, looking at Gennaro, looking at his hands, just driving that car very, very smoothly. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch Gennaro this weekend. Got to say, he was on it out of the box on Friday morning. First session out there, first lap was basically his quickest. You can just see a little bit of oversteer, nothing too serious, but just really comfortable with what's happening here.
Yeah, I think what was quite amazing there for Gennaro on that first free practice session, he did an out lap, came into the pits for a systems check, and then went out, and on his very first lap on the harder compound tyres was the fastest in the session by quite a margin. And effectively he's maintained that through the entire weekend. A really dominant racing performance of what we've seen the likes of what Michael Stephen has done earlier in the season, but it certainly looks like Gennaro has found his mojo, and we probably want to see more of this into the future.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's you know, we want to see some racing at the front of the field as well, and I think that, you know, at the next round out at Swartkorps, I think that yeah, you can see just catching it at the rear end, having to get through there, but I think he's starting to have a bit of fun now with that gap that he's got there. I think Swartkorps is going to close the gap up tremendously. I think we're going to see Michael Stephen, Gennaro Bonafide, guys like Henry Groenewald, who's starting to look a little bit better this weekend before that mechanical failure. Simon Moss, we know, is going to be good. I mean, the recipe's here and the ingredients are here for a fantastic race. We just need everybody to get it right at the same time on the same day.
Well, here's Gennaro Bonafide letting the tail hang out, coming across the start-finish line, ending lap 9 and taking the checkered flag for a dominant race-winning performance and nearly a Grand Slam performance over the entire weekend. The only thing he did not get was the fastest lap in race 1. So let's just recap. Pole position, race 1. Pole position, race 2. Race 1 win, race 2 win, and fastest lap in race 2. Michael Stephen in second position, consolidating his position in the championship, and Graham Nathan bringing up a much-needed podium position.
Yeah, and he was followed home by debutant Michael van Rooyen in the new BMW, Matthew Hodges, Simon Moss, an unfortunate DNF, and Johan Fourie, as well as Henry Groenewald.
We made a change for race 1, and it didn't quite work out to what we wanted to in terms of handling, you know. So towards the end of the race, I was sliding around, not happy. We made changes for race 2. Phenomenal handling once again, but yeah, lap 2, going down the main straight, I just see the smoke, and I started getting smoke inside the car, and I thought, oh, no, please, no.
Yeah, you know, it's a good result. We're quite happy with it. You know, stuffing up qualifying this morning really put us on the back foot, you know, having to get through. We had the pace to match Gennaro, but, you know, once we got through, it was just too far away. But, you know, having said that, credit to him. He drove well all weekend, 2 brilliant races, and, you know, well deserved.
Yeah, that was a great result for the team and for myself. I would like to have it been a little bit closer, but we were there. We were there through consistency. Unfortunately, some of the other guys had problems and issues and spins, and through trying hard. We were all trying very, very hard. Car was great, team was great. This VW Jetta is just pumping out the stuff, and love it.
Yeah, we had a great start. Tried to get around Gennaro on the outside, but he was a bit wise, you know, at the start there. So, yeah, myself and Johan and Michael got into a bit of a ding-dong battle there. Johan was quite quick on his tyres. Obviously, he had saved him from the first heat. And then, yeah, we had a good dice up until I lost it. I think Gennaro was dropping quite a bit of oil. So, yeah, I think going through the gearbox had locked the rear, and I spun around. But regardless, we ended up having an electrical issue anyway.
I've got to tell you, I was biting my nails, Gary. What an incredible race. Gennaro Bonafide, it looked like his car was going to blow up.
It did. On lap 2 already, we saw the smoke. And I thought, wow, you know, let's see if this one holds together. It's been a hard day on the cars. Kyalami, the new track is great, but it just really, it's a big track. You know, pulling high Gs here, nearly 2 Gs in some of the corners, it's put pressure on the car. So I think Gennaro, the whole team, happy that they got that one to the end.
You got to say, Michael Stephen, I know he's leading the championship by miles, but he got lucky today.
He did. I mean, you know, that's how you win championships. You know, you get yourself in the right position. You pick up any places you can, and when you can't win, you finish as high up as you can. And Michael showed why he's leading the championship.
It might be a surprise result for Graham Nathan on the podium, but maybe it's the lift he needs.
Well, let's hope so. You know, I think definitely did a lot of testing, as we said, getting better. Let's hope it is the case. Zwartkops is a track he knows well, and so it all started. So let's hope that he shapes there.
Well, another brilliant day's racing in the Sasol GTC Championship right here at Kyalami. We look forward to seeing you in Zwartkops for round 6.